Hello and welcome to South Bay Sports Radio. Here's your host, Nick Ingram.
I am here once again with Damian Calhoun. Damian, thank you for joining me.
Thanks. Ready for another week. Thanks for adjusting the times a little bit. This job gets a little crazy and busy at times, but I appreciate you adjusting the times.
Of course. The benefit of working at Trader Joe's is if I've got the day off, my day's wide open as long as my boys are in school. So it's got to work out one way or another.
Yeah.
We are going to begin this week with girls volleyball. Playoff rankings dropped Tuesday, and this list was a little bit different than what I was expecting. However, the rankings are not polls. Redondo Union checked in at number 1, Mira Costa at number 10, Bishop Montgomery 49, El Segundo 51, South Torrance 57, West Torrance 80, and Palos Verdes at number 88. Redondo on Wednesday fell to Marymount, which is ranked number 5 in 4 sets, and Mira Costa lost in 4 to Mater Dei, which is ranked number 13. Damian, the season is in full swing. We're about to hit league play. What do these rankings mean with league play about to begin?
Just correction, Redondo lost to Sierra Canyon.
Sierra Canyon, not Marymount.
Yeah, they were one. Redondo beat Marymount the week before. Redondo's had a tough schedule all the way through. But this Tuesday, they were 1 in the rankings, and Sierra Canyon was 2, and Sierra Canyon 1 and 4. League play starts. Mira Costa starts league play today in about an hour or so against Torrance. Redondo, I think, starts, next week. This is just the first rankings. The top half of the Southern, we always focus on Division 1. That's always all the interest usually goes there. You got any combination of Redondo, Mira Costa, Sierra Canyon, Marymount, Mater Dei. They're going to be battling for the league title for the CF title. It looks like Sierra Canyon might be the team to beat. Redondo had beat them early in the year. Well, early in the year, not too early. Well, last month in Hawaii in 2 sets. This was the first 3 of 5 meeting, and Sierra Canyon 1 and 4. So I guess once the new rankings come out, Sierra Canyon should probably go to 1. Redondo will be 2. And then also next week, all the major teams head to Vegas for the Durango Classic. Another big early test where they all might meet each other again, and you might see another Redondo, Sierra Canyon, or Redondo, Mira Costa. They've already played this year in Hawaii. They might meet again before they play their first league match. So it's the girls volleyball scene is all, it's up and down all over the place early on. But once we get toward the end of the season, there's going to be some real fun matches in the playoffs.
Most definitely, and I know that last Bay League game is always Redondo Costa, and regardless of which gym it's at, it's packed and loud.
Oh yeah. I think the first one, I want to say it's in 2 weeks, but yeah, those 2 matches you want to get to for sure, Redondo, Mira Costa.
We are going to do the first advertisement break. This episode's brought to you by Dietz Brothers Music, a South Bay staple since 1976. Same family, new location. Whether you need instruments, lessons, or gear, Dietz has it all. Stop by, support local, and keep the music alive. Visit DietzBrothersMusic.com. All right. I'm looking at the schedule for Redondo, and they play Mira Costa Thursday the 25th at Mira Costa, and then they close the regular season Tuesday, October the 14th at home. And both of those matches are at 6:30. So
yeah. And then I think there's usually a late season tournament hosted by Redondo and Mira Costa. They could probably meet again. So
there's always the battle at the beach, battle here, battle there, battle for the beach.
Exactly.
All right. Every week, Damian does a top 15 rundown of the best football teams in our area. We're going to break that down. We're going to start at the top. We're going to hit all 15 teams. Here we go. Number 1, Serra. They're 1 and 2. They're at Orange Lutheran Friday at 7. Orange Lutheran is ranked number 4 in Orange County, behind Mater Dei, Mission Viejo, and Santa Margarita. Serra has struggled across the board. The offense has given up 2 touchdowns. Their special teams has given up a touchdown, and their defense has given up a touchdown. Scott Altenberg says the Cavaliers need to play better on all fronts. They will be without Ryan Bowes, who broke his collarbone, Ashton Hope, who's on the offensive line. He's out with a knee injury, and even kicker Nate Altenberg has a torn quad. Altenberg also told me that facing Orange Lutheran's defense is a major uphill battle for Serra's struggling offense. All right, Damien, what is going to be the key for Serra against such a tough Trinity League opponent?
Man, where do we start? If they get in, they're going to need some all kind of offensive consistency. Even in their wins, they beat Palos Verdes that night. Devon Mutra had like 3 touchdowns, 2 rushing, 1 punt return. Then they blew out Hamilton from the LA City section. And then last week against Los Al, they just couldn't find any consistency at all offensively. They were down 5 in the second quarter, and I thought getting to halftime down 5 would be a pretty good for them. But then they gave up a safety, and then they gave up a quick touchdown, and all of a sudden they're down 14 going into halftime, and that turned the whole game around. Now going against Orange Lutheran, they're 0-4, I think, against them, and they just got to find some consistency, or maybe the defense got to have to score a touchdown or 2 or whatever. But yeah, they got to work out for them this week for sure.
Number 2, Lusinger is on a bye. This is their second straight bye. They will be at J. Serra next Friday, September the 19th. Is this 2-week stretch tough for high schoolers, in your opinion, to be off?
Yeah, well, we gotta get the coach on here to see how they're going about keeping guys in tune and focus on everything. They had a game. They're supposed to play Bishop Montgomery last week. That got canceled. Now another week off, but it's 2 weeks off to go into another tough matchup against J. Serra, another Trinity League team, so Trinity League opponent. So, I mean, we'll see. Hopefully these 2 weeks allow guys to get healthy. They're still a week away, or maybe a couple weeks away from the sit-out period ending. So there's still some guys who are still missing, but, I mean, 2 weeks off when you're not hitting each other, that's what they probably are, doing some kind of live work. So we'll see next week how this break sometime it comes at a good moment. I mean, a little early in the year, but did it come at a moment where it sort of slowed their momentum down?
Yeah, this one was their regularly scheduled bye, and I know that they were preparing for Bishop Montgomery. I had talked to Jason Miller about it, but in that respect, there's nothing much you can do. You wait and see what the CIF is going to do, what the Archdiocese is going to do, and you chalk it up to what happens when things don't go the way you want it to go. Moving on, number 3, Palos Verdes comes in at 2-1 against Edison, who is also 2-1. That matchup is a PV special, 3:30 on the Hill. This is the 5th straight meeting. Edison has had the upper hand historically. They've won 4 out of the 5. The only time PV's won, that undefeated season where they went 10-0 in the regular year, and they won 31-28. PV has Ryan Rakowski with 9 touchdowns, 608 passing yards, and almost 150 rushing. Their tandem of receivers, Morley Boyd and Jalen Flowers, they've combined for 408 yards and 23 catches. Their defense is led by Weston Reese, who has 18 tackles in 2 games, but he's going to be out this game, as will Andrew Habif and one other player. Coach Gardner tells me Edison is athletic, physical, and well-coached, and they're a tough matchup for sure. And Ryan Rakowski says, against a really good team, you've got to nail the fundamentals. Damien, what do you think is the key for PV in this one against the tough Edison squad?
Yeah, like I said, Edison's always a tough squad. It's tough to play them when you're healthy, and to do so with guys missing, that's a big challenge, especially without Weston and Habib out of the backfield. But they're gonna take care of the ball. I know last year's game was like 34-7, I think, Edison. So you get them at home, get them up on the hill in the sun, in the daylight, maybe your fortunes change a little bit Friday.
Yeah, they haven't scored many points against Edison in previous years. I think of those 4 losses, they didn't total more than 10 points. But then there was that one win that in Rakowski's freshman year where they put up 31. This is also a matchup of defending CIF champions. Edison won Division 2 and PV won Division 5 last year. Moving on, Mira Costa travels to La Habra. The Mustangs are coming off a 31-0 win over Redondo. And yes, the surfboard does exist. The principal has it dust-free in her office. Liam Meeker, their quarterback, had 259 yards and 3 touchdowns. Kingston Davies had 128 total yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception on the defensive end. And receivers Luke and the Lukes, Luke Meeker, Luke Leonard, 124 yards and 2 touchdowns combined. This is a rematch of the 2023 D3 first round. La Habra won 27-24 and new to that Division 3 title. I asked Liam Meeker about this game, and he said it's a business trip. We're going for a CIF championship, and they're in our way. Another thing, AJ McBean is out. He's scheduled for an MRI. I got a message from Coach Don Morrow, who said that they're awaiting results, but it's highly unlikely that he will be suiting up. He told me that La Habra is a great program, a cool place to play if I've never been before, which I haven't, and a good test. How do you see this rematch playing out, Damien?
Yeah, just want to go ahead and confirm La Habra is a great place to play. Well, to visit. I never played, but I cover some games there. Yeah, going in there without AJ, that's possibly a tough loss. He suffered an ankle injury early on in that game. Early on, they were I think Saturday they were trying to get some treatment. So maybe the MRI, you hope there's nothing serious. Behind that, just a couple weeks rest. But hey, Mira Costa, they put together some offensive. They got some offensive talent. Kingston Davies has picked up some slack out of the backfield. He also a couple rushing touchdowns, and you got the Meeker brothers and Luke Leonard, another threat on the outside. So don't overlook the Mustangs. Even though without McBean, they still might have a good chance of going up there. Tough place, tough team, tough program. Always a La Habra, but don't overlook the Mustangs this week.
No, you definitely can't. They had a really good game last week. A lot of hats to the football. They found a way to force Cole Leinart out of the game early and really make Redondo's offense one-dimensional, which turned them into a running team. And Redondo they gained 110 yards, if that, and just looked to be off balance. A funny note about that game, I was writing my article in the teacher's lot, and I got locked in. And so, I made a couple phone calls, and Keith Ellison was the one that had come to unlock the gate for me. And he goes, you should have gotten out of here as early as you could, kind of joking. But at the same token, he's also one of those coaches that also told me that this isn't Redondo football. This isn't what I know. And this isn't the team that I know. And just, stay patient. Seahawk fans, he's got a lot of aspirations for this squad. I don't think they're hitting on all cylinders like they have in the past. And I think it may be a tough test for them.
Yeah. And of course, in this business, you're always going to get locked in on one campus at least once in your lifetime.
Yeah. That's the last thing that I wanted to happen, especially when I'm, it's almost 11 o'clock. The school's closed down, and he's the only one whose phone number I have. The last thing that I want to do is, hey, can somebody else help me get out of here?
It's a good thing he answered.
Yeah, seriously. I was expecting not an answer at all. All right. Moving on, we've got a double local. North Torrance is at West Torrance. Rivalry history. West has not won a game in this rivalry since 2016. North has dominated the last couple of years. West has Jack McInnes running the ball. He's racked up 208 yards and a touchdown in 2 games. Their defense is led by Mohammed Efdawi and Isaiah Nerez. They each have 15 tackles, and Blake Ely has 11 tackles and a sack. North is led by defensive end Anthony Macias, who has 3 sacks, an interception, and a fumble recovery. and Saxon quarterback Ethan Edwards is a game-time decision. Todd Croce, one of the longest tenured coaches in the area, he's been in North since 2000, told me that rivalries aren't about league standings, they matter to the community. And Todd Butler said that the Warriors need to control the pace. Damian, these double local games are always fun, but what's your take in a game of the Battle of Torrance?
Yeah, I've seen one early, West and Torrance won that one. Now West is coming off their first win, beating Peninsula. Intriguing to see how the offenses work here without their starting quarterback. North is down to a sophomore now. I think it's Ezra Satia, I believe. They lost their first game last week against Centennial from Las Vegas, 14-12. And then for West, they bounced back after the loss, and Jack McGinnis has run strong in the first two games, over 100 yards each game. Then quarterback Dominic Golia had 2 touchdowns last week. So interesting. I want to see, of course I'll be there, but I want to see what steps has West taken since their opening loss, and where is North at, if Edwards is out again, how do they sort of pick up that slack? Is it more touches for running back Jaden Andrade out of the backfield, or how do they sort of get into their offensive flow? So that's what I'm looking forward to.
There we go. Hey, West Torrance community, if you're listening to this, I want you to tune in and tell Damian where he needs to go before the game. That's the South Bay working its magic right there.
When I go where I usually go when I go to West, I usually stop at that Del Taco on Hawthorne Boulevard.
Oh, Damian, you can do so much better than that.
I'm always in a hurry. I'll just go to Del Taco and get something to eat and go to the game. That's what I do.
There's a spot that's super close to there. It's called Tom's Tacos. It's off of Torrance Boulevard and Anza.
Okay.
And they do really good tacos, very similar to Tito's Tacos. If you try it and you say this is Tito's on the dot, the owner is going to tell you that we're not related. Not me personally, but Tito's and Tom's. Or El Pollo Inca has a drive-through right across the street that is absolutely delicious if you like Peruvian cuisine. There you go, South Bay. Those are 2 of my spots. All right, another double local. We've got El Segundo, who is 3-0, hosting South Torrance. Last year's matchup, El Segundo comes in at number 11. Last year, El Segundo won 16-7. South had won the 4 before that. South's roster is small. They've got 33 players, but Matt Mitchler tells me the team is resilient. I spoke with El Segundo coach Rory Schoonmaker. He's in his 2nd year, and he admits that last year he wore too many hats. He's now focused on offensive efficiency. He said that quarterback Ryan Wyasek is thriving in year 2, and the defense has forced 3+ turnovers in each game. He also told me that South is an outstanding matchup for our program's progression. And Mitchler tells me that they've played 2 one-score games and need to limit the big plays from the Eagles. He highlighted safety Braden McCormick. He's gotten 3 interceptions in 2 games. All right, Damian, is this going to be another defensive battle or a high-scoring match?
I think it might be a high-scoring match. El Segundo's off to a good start. Ryan Wycheck, off to a great start, 3-0. I know they had one thing about them. They returned maybe like 15, maybe more all-league players last year, either first or second team. So to get that many back in second year, under a second-year coaching staff, that bodes well for them this season, and then as they head into league play. But one game that's really big for them is next week. We don't want to look. Coaches don't want to look ahead, but we'll look ahead.
We'll look ahead.
They play Torrance, I believe, next week, and that's a big test for them. I haven't seen much of South. I know they won their first game and lost last week. So let's see what steps can they take as well as they head into their 3rd game of the year here.
Yeah, this one definitely could be one of those where anything's possible. The rivalry game, records are out the door. Regardless of if El Segundo's 3-0, South is going to come in. They're going to look to have a good game. And yes, next week's game is at Torrance. So as of right now, both of those teams are 3-0. Things could be different when we talk next week. We're going to shout out our friends at Rizzo's Pizzeria in Lomita. Did you know about the coaches spread? That's right. You can pick from a carb load, a team trip, or a full feast. Starting at just $9.99 a person, perfect for teams or families. A reservation is required, and it is dine-in only. Call Rizzo's today to book your spread. All right, other teams we didn't hit around the area. Number 5, Inglewood is on a bye this week. They're at Downey next week. Torrance, undefeated, comes in at number 6. They host undefeated Cypress. Redondo comes in at number 8. They're 0-2. They've scored just 6 total points, and they are at Huntington Beach. Number 9, Carson. They're 1-2. They host winless Huntington Park. Number 10, San Pedro. Then they host Bell after a 1-point loss to Great Oak. San Pedro's 1-2. Banning is 3-0, and they are at Garfield, and then they've got the PV game next week. Cannot overlook Garfield, especially at 3-0. Mary Star, they're coming off a walk-off field goal against Village Christian. They host Southgate. The Stars are coming in at 13. And number 14, Lawndale, another undefeated team, visits St. Monica. They are also undefeated. This is a matchup of 2 Travis Clark stops before he went to Wilson and now at Delaware State. Damien, which of these under-the-radar games stands out most to you?
I want to see if Redondo can get on track. I mean, it's a tough, Huntington Beach is always a tough team, but can they get on track a little bit this week? Lawndale's off to a 3-0 start. Good start for them. They're going to need some momentum as they head into a tough Bay League, so let's see what happens there. And then one really big look-ahead game. If Mary Star wins, Lawndale wins, they play next week. That's 4-0. That's a big test for both teams. I mean, facing Lawndale facing Mary Star's offense, Mary Star facing Lawndale. Of course, Mary Star coach Kosesic was at Lawndale for a couple years. But one team we didn't mention there because I only do a top 15. I don't know if I can do a top 20. St. Bernard is off to a 3-0 start as well. They're hosting Cantwell Sacred Heart this week. So nice to see the Vikings off to a 3-0 start.
Yeah, Tyler Sessage talked about picking up his offense from his former coach at Harbor, Dean Dowdy, who is also his offensive line coach now, and Travis Clark. So it's a mixture of the power I and the run and shoot. So that'll be interesting. And I believe that game, I don't know if Lawndale's played a game on their new turf yet. So
yeah, they have. They were there last year. Yeah, they've been home for.
Interesting. I keep seeing something on Facebook that shows me differently, but I believe you.
All three schools in the Sonata Valley district are home. Hawthorne finally made it home this year. Lawndale had some road games, but they've been home last year and this year.
All right. Well, I stand corrected. I don't mind being wrong. I appreciate that. Special feature, Clemente documentary. Roberto Clemente's legacy was bigger than baseball, a champion for justice and humanity. The new documentary, Clemente, opens Friday, which is tomorrow, the 12th, showing once daily at the Lamle Monica Film Center in Santa Monica and 3 times a day at AMC Orange 30. Experience his story on the big screen. Check out the Clemente film. I will be there Saturday. I am excited to see this. I am a huge Clemente fan. If anybody does not know, this story is very intriguing to me, not only how he lived his life, but how tragic his death was and his legacy. So I definitely, I don't know if you've seen it, but I've been posting a lot about it online.
Yeah, I've seen your posts. I heard somewhere, I'm not really familiar with the story as much as I probably should be, but he was in the Dodgers farm system.
He was in the Dodgers farm system. So the Dodgers picked him up as an international signing to keep him away from the Giants. He always wanted to play in New York, and the Dodgers wanted to keep him away from Willie Mays, because if you've got Willie Mays and Roberto Clemente in the same outfield, that doesn't bode well for the Dodgers. And so they signed him with no intentions of bringing him up to Brooklyn. They kept him in Montreal. there was a pirate scout who used to work for the Dodgers, Clyde Suckerforth. He went up to Montreal to do some scouting and realized that this Latin player was getting all this time pregame, but was relegated to the bench. So this was the first year of the Rule 5 draft, and Pittsburgh had the first pick, and they selected Roberto Clemente. And that's the history of the Dodgers missing out on one of the greatest players ever.
Yeah. But hey, at least he didn't go to the Giants.
At least there you go. I mean, they still had Willie Mays, so
yeah, of
we'll
course.
keep it at
Willie
that.
Mays and Montgomery followed him, and oh boy.
And Orlando Cepeda and Barry Bonds and Jeff Kent, the list goes on. All right, a tennis note. Keaton Hance wins boys doubles at the U.S. Open on a 10-8 super tiebreak. It's the first Grand Slam title for him and his partner, Jack Kennedy. Keaton is the younger brother of current South Torrance coach Kennedy Hance, and his older brother and sister, Connor and Kimmy, were stars at Peninsula. Kimmy is currently on the UCLA squad. Next up for Hance is the professional ITF circuit. Tennis is very big in this area, so for young Keaton to make a name for himself already, he hasn't played an ounce of high school tennis. I remember talking to Coach Mike Hager, and he said while he'd love to have him, he knows that it's not possible with how talented he is. So definitely took away from enjoying to cover him on the South Bay scene, but I wish him all the best.
Here, here.
All right, Damian, anything else before we wrap?
Yeah, just looking forward to a big week. I didn't think this week is as big as I think next week is, but there's still some good matchups out there. Good Friday night, get out, see some games, see some players, see some action. And then next week, some really good matchups. And then we're getting close to the league, and that's when, we always talk about the Bay League, which is tough, of course, but the Pioneer League with Torrance, North, and then how is Redondo looking as they head into the league there? So that's something to keep an eye on. So, enjoy your Friday night, and let's go.
There we go. That'll do it for this week's episode of South Bay Sports Radio. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe. Thank you again, Damian, for joining me, and our sponsors, Rizzo's Pizza, Dietz Brothers Music, and the Redondo Beach Public Library. Catch you next time.